Hi, this is Tamika with my MS journey. I realize I've already posted some videos on my channel that talked about my trigeminal neuralgia. I've also spoken about my MS symptoms, but there's one thing that I left out, and that was how I was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So I just wanted to take some time out today to just go over that process, how long it took, what was involved, and how we came to the outcome. So I talked about the fact that at some point I ended up with INO, internuclear ophthalmoplegia, and there was a possibility that it could have been as a result of MS because of my age and because there was no signs in my CT scan that I'd had previously of a stroke. So I did an MRI of my brain, and that MRI of my brain came back absolutely clean. No finding, no scarring, no lesions. Clean. So then at that point, the search starts to try to find out, well, what's wrong? What's causing this disruption to her eye movement? And I actually printed out from my health record online. All of these are tests that I took. Well, if you take these out, ignore these, but from February 23rd all the way through current, March 30th, these are tests that I took. Various different things, lots of things, as you can see, lots and lots of things, because they were really trying to zero in and figure out what was going on with me. Of everything that I was tested for, the only thing that came back off was my thiamine level. So my thiamine level was lower than normal, and at some point it was believed that I had a thiamine deficiency. I recently lost a lot of weight. Well, I say about at that point maybe 50, 60 pounds or so, 3-4 months. And so my neurologist thought she's suffering from malnutrition. She has a thiamine deficiency. And that's what my diagnosis was. I'd been on short-term disability. I was off work. I couldn't work when I was having the situation with my eyes and just a problem with my motility and all of that. So I was off work. So my initial diagnosis was a thiamine deficiency. So, and when I had the problem with the INO, my doctor said, looks like you have MS. You are presenting as though you are somebody who is having an acute MS outbreak. I see that, but I don't have the medical proof to substantiate that, i.e. the MRI of my brain. However, I'm going to treat you as though you're having an MS outbreak. And so I did the oral prednisone steroids for about 7 days, I think. And that helped to start clearing up my eyes. Well, my eyes got better, and then I started having all of the other various issues with the weakness in my legs and the numbness and just throbbing pain of my feet, and more weakness on just my right side in general, my hand, my trigeminal neuralgia flaring up, and all of that. And so that, and my persistence, is what made the doctor continue to search for more things. Now, on the very first day that I saw my neurologist after I was diagnosed with INO, I said to him, in December, I had this situation with my hand. I was sent to have a CT scan, was told that it was normal, and nothing else happened. My hand is still numb. I do not want to walk away from this situation with what's going on with my eyes. It really freaked me out. With what's going on with my eyes, I do not want to walk away from this situation without a solid explanation as to what happened to my body, what I could do to prevent it, etc. And I had to keep on my doctor. I mean, he was great. He is great. But, I had to, every time I had a new symptom, email him. Okay, this is going on. This is going on. This is changing. Yeah, my eyes are getting better, but these things are happening. And I really believe that my body told and forced us to continue pursuing and trying to figure out what was going on. So at some point, my doctor realized he needed to do a spinal tap, a lumbar puncture is the other way that it's referred to. The spinal tap did reveal, I have a copy of that too to show you. So they do a multiple sclerosis panel from your cerebral fluid. So the fluid that they take out from your spine. So here's my results. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. It shows my value, it shows the standard, and so my IgG was high. It was like double the standard, minus 10.8. Standard goes up to 5.2. That's the IgG-CSF. Then there's the IgG, which minus 1840. Standard is between 600 and 1600. And then there is IgG synthesis rate. The max on that is supposed to be 8.9, and mine is 34.4. So when my doctor got the results of this, he called me the next day and said, we're off the path of all of this being a result of the thiamine deficiency, and I'm back on the path of MS. Another thing is the cell count came out of the lab work from my cerebral fluid, and you should have between 0 and 5 white blood count, or white blood cell count in your spinal fluid, and I had 25, so 5 times the amount. So when he called me, he said your white blood count is elevated, and that is signs of MS. The next day I was already scheduled to do an MRI. Another key tip: if you feel as though you're having some MS symptoms and your neurologist feels as though that's what's going on, make sure they do not just stop at a brain MRI, because my MS was actually found from subsequent MRIs. So the next thing I did after my spinal fluid, my spinal tap, was I did a MRI of my neck and my spine. And he did it of my neck because he wanted to see my brainstem, and that is where I have one MS lesion. So that's how we got to me officially being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It was the results of my, and then there's also a banding test that they do from your spinal fluid that came back abnormal. And then all of the different fluids and the different levels that they checked from your spinal fluid, those were all off. And then there is that one lesion in my brainstem, which was found from my neck MRI. So that's my story. Be persistent. Keep on your doctors. When you're not feeling well, people aren't in your body and they don't know. And I know a lot of times with MS, a lot of these symptoms that we feel seem sort of loopy and people don't necessarily understand. And I've read lots of stories that people, just are perceived as needing, psych help because some of these symptoms don't necessarily seem real. But you know your body, and you have to make sure that, number one, you hook up with a good doctor. This is my second neurologist. And I have an HMO, but I've never, for almost 18 years now, and I've never necessarily had a problem. I pick my primary care. I pick, all my doctors, and, you just have to sort of visit a couple people until you're comfortable, until you see that they're passionate about health care and about people being well, and then you pick the right person, and you stay on them. My doctors email me back right away. They call me to check on me. I am so thankful that I really have doctors that care, and I tell them as often as possible. So it took just about a month for me from my initial onset of my INO to be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Okay, I guess that's it for now. I didn't want to leave that part out because a lot of times people are wondering, well, what happened? What tests? What steps did you go through? Like I said, every possible thing was cleared. Thiamine deficiency wasn't it. I almost ended up with that and could have gone on and not gotten on treatment and ended up, months from now or years from now with multiple lesions in my brain and or more in my spinal in my spine or even in my brain stem. So I'm a very grateful person at this point. Thank you guys for viewing, and I will check with you later. Okay, bye.